Okay, team, so welcome aboard. Taki Moore here in the driver's seat. Really excited about today's webinar walkthrough. It's going to be very different. I'm not going to teach you a bunch of much theory at all. I'm going to show you behind the scenes on this sales webinar that we run to sell our $1 Million Coach implementation program. Incredible course with a crappy name, to be perfectly blunt. It's a little bit like those old ads for Johnny Walker Red Label Scotch whiskey, I suppose. I've never drunk Johnny Walker, but it was an Asian bartender, and he said, hard to pronounce, easy to drink. So $1 Million Coach implementation program, I think, is a bit like that. It's not a great name, but it's an incredible, just an incredible program. So let the coaching begin. So let me give you a little bit of background. This webinar that we're about to walk through is pretty new to us. It's been running for the last, let's call it 3 months. We've been testing and tweaking it. The structure hasn't changed very much at all. Really, we kind of got it nailed with good structure. And then we've been tweaking the pre-webinar, the sign up and show up piece. And now we're squarely in the follow-up piece, shooting case study videos for some retargeting. Its job is to sell a course for us that costs $1,500 or 3 payments of $500. But frankly, the exact same structure could be used to sell anything. The only thing will change, obviously, is the offer at the back. And so if you want to sell your applications to your program, if you want to sell appointments, triage calls and strat sessions, if you want to sell a product or an event or a course, this exact same structure will work really, really well. It's a little bit of a tweak to the existing webinar structure. So you've got one of those that's working already, perfectly fine. You do not have to change this. There's a couple of things that we've learned that I wanted to add in to make this even better. Is that cool? So what I'm going to do right now is just give you the overview of the whole webinar on one page as a diagram, and then we'll jump in. But before we go any further, I just wanted to check. Are you? Jason says, just got here. Where are the handouts? There should be a handout button inside your GoToWebinar control panel. Look in there, see if you can find it. Oh, Jason got it. Great. Pete. All right, team, let's do this. So if you think about the webinar, vertically, we're going to go from start to finish. Really, it's got an opening chunk. It's got the offer, and in between we have 3 pieces of content. So I'm just going to give you the high-level architecture, because I think if you get the architecture, then everything else underneath this will make sense. So it starts off, and the main opening piece is using Genius Model that we talked about at the last intensive, right? That courtesy of the amazing Simon Bond, who, by the way, just launched his Models Vault. I was the first one to buy it. It's really, really cool. So this is the sweet spot. Here's what I want for you more than anything else in the world. So let's call that sweet spot. We've got petals 1, 2, and 3, which is what those pieces are kind of the why of your model. And then we go into what we call the pillars. Pillar A, for attract, for example, and B and C for me to be attract, convert, and deliver. These are the things you need. And then we go into the butt cracks. If you can't attract, you get this bad thing here. Lots of bad things happen in the butt cracks in these sort of models. I apologize, it's a bit crude, but you get the idea. If you can't B, then you get this bad thing, and if you can't C, you get that bad thing, right? And then we walk people through our how. So we've got why in gray, what in blue, and how around the outside here. And for me, there's 3 for each, but it could be 2 or 3 or 4 for you, okay? Now, this is just designed to show people what's possible, and the final piece of this opening bit for us is we get them to traffic light rate themselves how they're doing. So, red if it sucks, green if it's amazing, yellow if it's somewhere in between. And by the time we finish this up, most people have, a little bit of green and a ton of red and yellow, and that's just designed to set up holy crap, you need all of these pieces. So a big picture framework for this whole webinar is we're going to go whole, parts, whole. In other words, we're going to say, here's the whole 9 things that you need. We've only got time to go into 3, and so we'll go deep into those, and then we go, but by the way, remember you need all 9. Okay, so if you're understanding kind of the setup piece high level so far, please just go, yep. Let me know that you're tracking. Cool. So that's kind of the opening piece. Obviously, at the end of the webinar, we've got our invitation to the next thing. In my case, it was to the case study program or the MDCIP. And in between, we've got room for 3 pieces of content. Now, here's the thing. You can teach anything you like. For me, I wanted to teach something attract, something convert, and something deliver. But I don't have time to teach all of attract, you know, fill your funnel and build authority and install automation. You know, those 3 things, to do that in like 15 minutes or 20 minutes, that's a real stretch. And so you have to be selective. And so if this is the whole, in here, I teach 3 parts. So for example, I did deliver, attract, and convert in that order. And the only reason I did it in that order is because, frankly, I thought it made more sense. Before we can market something, we need to know what it is. Before we can sell something, we need to know what it is, right? And so under deliver, I don't have time to teach all 3 pieces of deliver. I just chose the one that was, frankly, most useful and most sexy. And so that was decide your model. Under attract, we did fill your funnel, because that's hot and sexy. And here we did sell with webinars. And so the first thing I want you to think about is, out of your model, what are the 3 hottest pieces for you? So what I'd love you to do right now is just pause and tell me what you think's been most helpful for you so far, and any follow-up questions you've got just from this kind of opening piece. We're about to go deep, but I just want to make sure you get the structure. So what's been most helpful so far? And then secondly, is there any kind of follow-up question or clarification? Dennis, does this format work if you're selling to a triage call instead of a $1,500 program? 1,000% yes. Yep, this will work to sell, the structure will work to sell anything. Big, small, big is exactly what we're doing. Here's everything. We've only got time for this bit. Remember, you need everything. Seeding the whole all the way through. Yep, clear layout. Simplicity of the structure, very clear. I'm excited, perfect. Breakdown. Do I draw it live? Yeah, I do draw it live. I'll walk you through. Share whole deep on 3, share whole, exactly what we're doing. Joe, I love the case study structure. Sold $109,000 doing it after I recommend. Dude, Joe, badass, well done. All right, so that's the big picture structure. So what I want to do right now is I want to help you build out these pieces. There's one thing I don't have time to teach today, and I'm going to assume that either you've already got it or that you can watch a video, and that's, I don't want to help you build your Genius model today. We had an incredible session on it at the last intensive. And if you don't have a Genius model, then go to the Facebook and Funnels Intensive Day 2, Session 1, the Genius Selling System, and it'll help you build yours out. Cool? So a couple of practical things. When somebody registers for this webinar, we add them to our Facebook group called The Dojo. And if you guys aren't in the Dojo, if you want to see inside our prospect Facebook group, love you to join. It's just facebook.com/groups/Coach Dojo. And when they go there, they're able to download this set of handouts. And this is the handouts for the sales webinar. And this is one filled in, so you can see, it ends up getting quite full and quite busy. But I just want you to see up front that if you registered for a webinar and you saw handouts like this and a little video explaining them, obviously they'd be blank, they wouldn't be colored in yet. What do you already start to think about this webinar? What do you already start to think? Yeah, it's going to be quality. It's going to be valuable. It's going to be useful. I'm going to learn stuff. Like there's circles and there's triangles and squares and there's boxes to fill in. It's going to be useful. Okay, so I'm going to refer back and forth to this. This PDF is also in the handouts that I've uploaded for you, but we're just going to flick back and forth between the two. So let's start the webinar. Okay, so logistical question. The webinar is about 90 minutes long, and I'm pumping to fit it in. Frankly, struggling a little bit to fit it in. So that's probably an improvement to make, is to shrink it down a little bit. Okay, so I'll zoom in just a little bit. We've got title slide, $1 million plan, how to break $1 million a year in your coaching business in the next 12 months. Nice, simple, clear promise, not overhypey. Go here and download the handout, just like we've done here. I've got 3 setup questions right at the start. So how long have you been coaching? It's just like an easy to answer, non-personal, non-invasive, just to get them used to talking to me. What does a client pay you per month and then over the course of a year? And that just makes, hey, if we can get you 1 more client, you are so paid in this program, right? And then what's the gap? Like, what's your current income and what do you want it to be? And people will tell us. And so, you know, if their income is 10 grand a month and they want to make 40 grand a month, there's a $30,000 a month gap. It's like 360 grand a year. That's what it's costing people not to know this stuff right now. So again, right up front, before I've even started, I'm getting them into return on investment and cost of inaction, ROI and COI. Cool, by the way, hope you're taking notes. And by the way, when you get a takeaway, a nugget, I'd like it if you just type into the chat box what your takeaway is. So the whole, you know, I'm going to be dropping value bombs the whole way through. I'd like it if you could type them into the chat box so we can kind of review them together. Is that cool? Okay, so then we go to the handout and we start with the Genius model. And so I'm just going to do a quickie on this. As we unpack the Genius model, it starts with, I do the why piece and then pause. When you unpack a model, by the way, I draw on this live. And for me, I think it's more engaging. It's way more fun for me and much more engaging for them. When I unpack the model, it starts with sweet spot. So what I want for you more than anything else in the world is a coaching business that can scale. It's a big word here. Lots of people talking about it. When I say the word scale your coaching business, I mean 3 things. And I talk about making more money, making a bigger difference, more meaning, and more freedom. And then I pause, right? Because frankly, this is the why. The reason they'll do anything with you is because of what's drawn here in yellow so far. For us, as you probably know, freedom, you know, the whole kind of quest for freedom came because of necessity, not because of like nomading around the world or anything even remotely glamorous. Ethan got, you know, has had a ton of operations and nearly died a few times. And there's been times where we've had to like drop everything and spend 10 weeks sitting beside his bed at Westmead Kids Hospital eating awful hospital food and hoping he pulls through. And so that was, you know, that was freedom, you know, freedom from. And then, but now we've got freedom to. And so freedom to for us is about travel and adventures. And so we've got a few of these kind of nomad photos just to make people conscious of what's possible. Okay, so what we're doing is we're going, here's why. And then after kind of sharing a little bit of our why, then we talk about their why. So what are the 3 reasons why you want to scale? You know, that's my reasons, what are yours? And then people will type in what they would do with more money and more meaning and more freedom. Are you with me so far? Okay, then we go back to the Genius model and we flesh out the outside. And fleshing out the outside, you know, looks, obviously this is pretty messy, but looks like this. Yes, we'll have all of our projects written around the outside, our accelerators, blah, 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 you know, what the projects are, fill funnels and all of that stuff. And then we have people color code like I showed you before. Okay, so what happens is people end up, our model shaded in like this. And I'll ask them to type in whatever color they are. So I'll explain what green is and make green really hard to get. I'll explain what orange is and what red is and have people type in their color. And then I just take the average and shade it in that color. It's going to end up mostly orange and mostly red with a green here or there. And then I just pause and we go, great, so that's your colors. Obviously, the goal is to build a coaching business that can scale. So the question I've got for you is, how scalable, given your colors right now, how scalable is your business right now? And people tell me, frankly, that it's not, right? It's screwed, I'm dead, I've got work to do, oh God, this is so depressing, I want to slip my wrists, stuff like that. And then we go to an insights and actions page, just like we do at the intensives. And I just get them along the top row here to write down from the $1 Million Plan, this overview, what are the 3 changes you already know you need to make? And so I'm not asking for their takeaways or their good ideas. I frame it as, what are the 3 changes you already know you need to make? And so people are already in the, oh crap, I've got to change stuff mode. Let's just pause. We've done our intro piece. I'm going to go, what's been most helpful so far? Let's do that first. What's been most helpful so far for you? Awesomeness of the handout. Stretching the gap from the get-go, 100%. Habit quality. Can't write fast enough. Awesome stuff, great. It's being recorded, so you're in good hands. Pausing for personal why before getting their why. Yeah, I think we just want to show that you're a real person, how to frame and get them thinking about what they truly want and need. Colors increase the urgency. Yeah. If I'm all red, I'm in bad shape, right? Asking lots of really good questions. Tied model to why is this important? Yes, Ed. Knowing how you use the Genius model right up front on the webinar. Yeah. Great handout. Leading with the Genius model. Dialogue between slides and colors. Yes. Setting up the why while drawing out the model. Yep. Quality of the sheet. Cool. How you define traffic lights. Yeah. And so if you think about the badges at the front of, think about the badges that you have at a black belt event. This is your name tag, Taki Moore, and it's got our 9 projects. The way we rank those is on a scale from 0 to 4. So 1, 2, 3, we've got like 0, and then we've got bronze, silver, gold, and hero. And so the way I rank it for them, it's basically the same questions as we do on the sliders on blackbeltmembers.com/badges. But I make, if you're a 0 or a bronze, we make that red. If you're here, it's a yellow. And if you're gold or whatever, you're green. And so, it looks like there's 40% chance of green. But the truth is that on an exponential growth curve, like the badges are ranked like this. And so it's really more like that color-wise. Most people are here. It's really more like this. And so the majority of people fit into this time frame right there. So we're going to get lots of red and lots of orange. Is that cool? Yeah, Jeff, dude, it's completely fine, homeboy. We're going to be working together for a long, long time, and you don't need to have half of this stuff done for it to still be incredibly good. Less slides, more drawing. Yeah, I've still got heaps of slides. But you could totally skip the slides if you wanted to. Okay, so that's our opening piece. And so I think what we've done so far in this walkthrough is we've firmly given a big purple tick to the opening box. You cool with that? And so then what we want to do, this is probably, frankly, it's still too long. If I could shrink this down more, it would be even better. I tried to pre-write them and then rewind my way through. And then I clicked out of that page, I went to something else, I came back, and by the time I was back in the webinar, I couldn't fast forward again, so I had to handwrite. The writing takes time. So now we're in the middle piece, and I want to show you what to do, or what we do here in these 3 content blocks. They all follow the exact same structure. It looks a bit like this. By the way, I'm going to be showing you this a few times, and so if it feels like I'm moving quickly, don't worry, we're going to be looping a few times. So we've got a little piece of time to talk about one of the topics. In this case, we're going to do deliver, which is this circle here, and decide your model, which is that, this little box right there, okay? And so what we want to do first of all is we want to do our whole parts whole, or as Pete called it, big, small, big. And remind them that under deliver, there are 3 things that you need, but we've only got time to do 1. But we still need to show them all 3 to create the gap for all 3, okay? And so we'll talk about that in a second. Then we're going to do a special model, and it's a model called a red-green model. This is optional. You could just do a Y stack, which is what I used to do. I like these red-green models. I learned them from Simon because they just make it really easy to tell, oh crap, it's either good enough or it's, it's either not good enough or it's great. And so we'll talk about that, but that's really a Y model. So we're going to do a few things. We're going to do why you need this, then we're going to give them 3 points, which is what they need to know. Then we're going to do a worksheet or some kind of exercise. Then we're going to, so that's kind of a little bit of how. And then we're going to tell a case study, which proves that the stuff's true. And then we're going to do another insights and actions page, again, themed around what their problems are. And that last piece, the insights and actions, is probably, I probably should move here because that's how we close each session. Yeah? So big picture, we're going to show them, hey, there's 3 things you need. We've only got time to do 1. We're going to do a why model about that one, make them feel like they desperately need it. Then we're going to go, here's what you need to know. We're going to teach them 3 points, do a little bit of worksheet action, tell a client story, and again, go back to the Insights and Actions page and have people go, holy crap, I need help with this. Yeah? You picking up what I'm putting down? Can this only be done on Apple to be able to draw? Nope. Corby told me that you can get Paper 53, this same app that I'm using right now to draw, on Android. By the way, you don't have to draw your stuff. You could totally do this same structure with slides. I'm a pen and paper guy. I like flip charts and stuff, so this just feels a bit more organic to me, and it's different. Joe, what's an example of a worksheet for one piece of content? I'm going to show you the whole thing. Okay, so don't freak out, homie. I got you. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do this piece here. We're going to follow the same structure 3 times. Yeah, one for decide your model. In this case, one for fill your funnel and one for sell with webinars. Exactly the same structure. So if you got it once, you can do it again and again and again. And then we've got the close at the end. By the way, I've never taught this. I just kind of built it. So how am I doing? Is this too fast, too slow? Is it clear or is it confusing? Just give me a little bit of feedback. Rachel said, I actually did my model on my traffic lights with a flip chart and me on camera drawing on the flip chart. 100% cool. You could literally have a flip chart just behind you. It's totally cool. Okay. Totally clear. We'll need to watch again, but cool. Yeah. A little fast, but I understand you're going to cover it again. Yeah, man. Perfect. Okay. So let's do this. Where we're up to right now in the slides is we've done an opening piece and we've covered, we've sort of done intro, genius model, why, what's your why, and what's the lesson. So that's where we're up to. Now we're about to jump into my first content module or content block, which in my case is deliver. Okay, so remember the structure that I just showed you for each 90-minute block, these yellow bricks right here. I've just built out a little worksheet for you this week that you can kind of use to outline yours. And so the first thing we do is we go pillar. And so for me, it was attract, convert, deliver. It was deliver. And the accelerator, or the kind of the project from the outside that we used. By the way, Michelle Peters, thank you for the word accelerator in Laguna. I've completely appropriated. I think it's great. And so this was decide your model. Yeah. And so the first thing I'm going to do is show them that they need the whole, all 3. So hey, there's 3 things you need. You need to decide your model. You need to unpack your IP, and you need to harness the talent of a virtual team. And so they're the 3. And so what I want to do up front is I want to share that they need all 3 and just tell a 30-second, maybe 60-second little story of a client who's done really, really well with that thing. So if I go decide your model, and I'm just going to put in client's name here, unpack your IP, client's name, harness talent, client's name. So let me show you that in action. So here's what I did. So right now, and again, we're in role play mode. Okay, let's get started. Under deliver, actually, there's one other thing I did, which I probably should show you. So this is the $1 million model, but you came here for the $1 million plan. There's 9 projects you need. I'm going to show you the fastest way, the 3 things you need to do to get you there quickest. And that is, number 1, decide your model, so we know what we're going to sell. Number 2, get leads. And number 3, sell them. And so we're going to do, today we're going to do decide your model, fill your funnel, and sell on a webinar. You need all 9, but if I had to give you the shortcut to get you traction quickly, this would be the 3. So we're going to go 1, 2, and 3. So that's how I've set up which ones I've chosen. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do deliver right now. There are, as you know, there are 3 core pieces to the way you deliver. The first thing you need to do is, one of the things you need to do is unpack your IP, the content out of your head, package it into products and programs. If you don't do this, you're just a person, another person with a bunch of good ideas, but you don't have a system. And people don't buy ideas. We all have good ideas in the shower. What people buy is a system to get them from their problem to their promise. And so what you want to do is take the content out of your head and build a system around it, like my client Lawrence. And I'll just tell Lawrence a story. You can see we're going, you need this. If you don't, bad thing happens. If you do, good things happen. Let me tell you Lawrence's story. And just in 30 seconds or 60 seconds, I tell Lawrence's story. So you need that. We don't have, we don't have time for it today, but just make a note, need to unpack my IP. The second piece for deciding, for delivering coaching is to harness the talent of a virtual team. You can't do this by yourself. And so if you don't have a system for harnessing the talent of a virtual team, you're tapping into the strengths of other people so you can do what you're great at, you end up doing all of the heavy lifting yourself. It's exhausting. You're the biggest bottleneck in your business. You'll burn out because you just can't do it all. If you get this right, though, you can have a rockstar team around you that just supports you to get amazing work done. So you can just do the bits which you're really, really great at. Like my clients, Andy and Angela. And I just do like a 30-second bit about how they've got this incredible team in the Philippines that does all the stuff so they can do what they love best, which is speaking and writing. You know, like inventing stuff and teaching it. If you could just do the bits which you loved, what would what are the pieces that you'd love to just be doing that? Type. Great. And if you could outsource all the rest, what's one thing you hate that you'd love to get rid of right now? Blah, blah, blah. Great. So remember, I'm doing whole, like big, small, big, whole, parts, whole. So we don't have time to talk about working with a virtual team or harnessing talent today. We do have time to jump into deciding your model. And so that's what I want you to do right now, to jump into the workbook under the Decide Model section. Pause, role play. Okay, so can you see what we've just done in here? We've done, you need these three things. If you get this wrong, bad thing happens. If you get it right, good thing happens. And then tell, photo of client, tell client story. 3 times. Let's just check in. What have you picked up from that bit so far? If you don't have case studies, completely fine. Skip it. Or talk about a prospect that you like. If you don't have a case study, there's 3 kinds of. So you've got options. Number 1, you can skip it. Just don't do the client story. Just do the from and to piece. Even quicker, easier. Number 2, if you don't have case studies of clients who are winners at this thing, then share stories of prospects who were losers at that thing. So I met this guy. And let's say it's about harnessing the talent. I met this guy, and when I met him, he was working 90 hours a week, just burning out. His business had been plateaued for years, and the reason he never got there was because he was trying to do it all himself. Don't be that guy. So you can do a loser's case study. The third kind of case study you can do is a public case study, like find another business that's really good at that thing and talk about the secret to their success is blah. Yeah, I was talking to I read an article about Richard Branson. He said the main reason is because he hires people smarter than him. You want to be like that. Yeah? Dennis, does that help? Dropping program seeds like Inception. Oh yeah, we completely are. Is this where you see the triage or the next step? Yeah. I'll do that in a bit. Not yet is the short version. Realize it's possible for me to make this happen. Yeah. I love the syntax of this structure. Showing 1 of 3 pumps to sale. Yep, perfect. Does the third point just move to the content block, i.e. deliver, or do you go through all 3 and then elaborate on 3? Yeah, you're right. I just do, you need this one, but we don't have time. You need that one, we don't have time. We're going to do this one, and that gets us started. Cool? So then that gets us into this thing called a red-green model. This is Simon Bowen's IP, so I don't have permission to teach you all about it. All I want you to know is that we want to design a model that has people really quickly go, oh, I'm good enough or I'm not good enough. And obviously, anytime we have a model, you know that red is bad and green is good. Okay, so for example, if I drew this, okay, so I want to talk to you for a second. This is a great little red-green model. I want to talk to you about the effort you put in and the results you get back. The input you put in and the results you get back. In your coaching business right now, just imagine you're a traditional one-on-one coach working really, really hard. Okay, there's 2 pieces to this. There's how much work you make, how much work you put in, that's your input, versus how many people it impacts. Most coaches, their business model looks like this. They work, and they work, and they work with a client, they work with another client, they work with another client, they work with another client, and there's no leverage. They put in all this work and it helps a tiny handful of people, right? The input impact ratio is like, I'm working 7, I'm putting 7 units of work in and I'm helping a small amount of people. But the leverage coach, the $1 million coach, does it really differently. We work hard once, and then that piece of work, the webinar we create, or the IP we unpack, the video we deliver now helps people today and tomorrow and next month and the month after and next year, and the year after that. And so the ratio for the leverage coach is 1 piece of work and 7 pieces of impact. And that's the way we scale. And so the question I've got for you right now is, what's your ratio? What's your ratio look like? Out of these 8 blocks, are you 7 to 1, working really hard? Are you 1 to 7? Are you 50-50? Like, what's your ratio right now? And people type it in. And all we want to do is just really quickly get people to go, oh crap, I'm doing way too much red and not nearly enough green. Is this helpful? Guys, do you get that as a red-green model idea? I like the way you leave it on red as I ask. Yeah, I totally leave it on red. Mind blown like Tetris. How'd you do the color thing? Took work, short version. I had to do 2 steps in Paper 53, which is super annoying. First thing I did was I made a gray box using this tool and the same color as the background square, and I drew it over the top. And now I just paint, oops, in theory, crap, clearly that didn't work. Make a square with, or a circle with that tool, and then fill it with that tool. That's what I'm doing, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple more red-green models just so you get the idea. So the side model, we did that one. For Fill Your Funnel, this is one you've seen me do at the most recent intensive because I love it so much. Again, red bad, green good. And what I do is I sort of trick people into thinking it's a gradient, and then I take the gradient away. So if we think about the number of leads flowing through your pipeline right now, your pipeline, most of the coaches I talk to are in one of like 5 spots. Yeah, there's lots of people where the pipeline is blocked. There's no new leads, blah 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 blah. Others have a few leads, kind of enough leads to kind of eke out a living. There's a few people coming in, but not enough. There's leaky pipeline, and I talk about what that is. Or you can have a blocked, leaky. There's a trickle, a flow, or a flood. And there's 5. And so anytime there's 5, it's really easy to say, I'm there. And so I get people to type in where they're up to. And so they might go, I'm here. And then I go, great. So if you think about it, there's these 5 levels. Really, even though there's 5 layers of distinction, there's really only 2. There's, I'm not getting enough leads, or I'm getting enough leads. And so I've just gone, wherever you thought you were, not cool. Dude, you're in the red zone. And the moment I'm in red, I want to get to green. Yeah? Is that helpful? So do a red-green model. And all of the red-green models do the same job, but what we want to do is mix up the shapes a little bit so that it doesn't feel like we're just doing your pyramid. Oh yeah, I'm in the bottom of that pyramid. Oh, I'm in the bottom of the other pyramid. If you do like the same shape 3 times, it gets a bit dull. Yeah? Is this helpful so far? Any questions? You could totally animate it in Keynote. Yep. Yeah? Let's do one more. The webinar red-green model is income gap. Yeah, so this one's pretty straightforward. This is just about coaches and their income, and the point I'm making here is that most coaches don't make anywhere near the amount of money they could, and you're a good dude and you should, right? I mean, that's kind of basic, but that's the point here. So if you look at the coaching world, only a very small percentage of coaches ever make it to $1 million a year. Yeah, or even if $1 million isn't the goal, only a very small percentage of coaches ever really get this business to where it needs to be. Most of them struggle, and only a few, really, whatever the word is, dominate, or, it's 3%, 97% never make it. And so the question you've got to ask is, what are they doing that these guys aren't? Is it that they're better coaches? No. It used to really bug me when I see someone who was way worse than me doing so much better. They're getting all the fame and all the glory and all the leads and all the money, and I know their stuff sucks, which by the way is A, completely true, and B, common, right, for smart people like us. And so it's not that they're a better coach, it's that they learned how to sell their stuff. And so what we need to do right now, the only way to get from red to green here is to learn how to sell. And today I want to show you how to sell with webinars, and here's why. Red, green. Yeah? Yeah, Rachel, what's the purpose of the red-green model? It's why. It's just to go, oh shit, I'm in red. How cool would it be if I could get up there? And I just let the colors do the selling for me. That's all it is. Yeah? Okay, quick pause. Takeaways on red-green. What'd you learn? What'd you notice? Would you like to share? Any kind of statements or questions or points of clarification around red green? Super simple. Yeah, there are easy models to draw. Like there's no, how many red green? One for each of my 3 points. One for each of my 3 areas. So I'm going to do a red green model for my attract bit and for my convert bit and my deliver bit. It's 3. No, there's no what at all. It's just why. Like you can draw them in a minute. Colors are strong, changing shapes is engaging. Yeah. Subliminal selling, indoctrination. Yep. Let them decide that they need help, not tell them. Yep. Simple, high impact, 100%. Yeah, Selena, does the red green replace your Y stack? I notice you still do the Y stack in the course itself. Yeah, the red green replaces the Y stack. It's just quicker. Like frankly, I'm looking to cut and it lets them come up with their own stuff. Yeah, you totally can do the red green on the timeline. Joe, 1000%. Can there be a yes? There can be yes or no, as in 2 bits versus 3 bits. Yeah, that's exactly right. What we want to do is we want to take if you look at traffic lights, we kind of want to take the yellow light out. It's either great or it's not good enough. Yeah, Dennis, 100% right. I'm loving that you're picking that up. Okay, so here's what we've done. We've showed them the whole, and again, we're in like content block. The pillar is deliver, and we're in decide your model. Yeah, which I just noticed I wrote decide your mode because that's how I roll. And we've done a red-green model, and I've got 3 shapes there, just because it can be a circle, like it can be a triangle, which is this bit's good, and that bit's bad. There are a few of these, right? In this one here, I use the squares, but I'll just draw them as circles here because it's easier. Yeah, there's a few different shapes you can use. So then we get into, by the way, are you digging this? This is pretty ninja, right? Next up, we go to the key points. And so for each content block, I just had 3 key ideas. 1, 2, 3, just like I'm teaching stuff, because I'm just teaching stuff. So we do the ratio. I give them 3 hot principles, which in this case are fit your own mask first, do the money math, work the 5 ones, and then just check in, which one of these do you need the most? And then we've got room for some worksheets. So if we come here, 3 points, just teach them, and then check in. What kind of an advantage would that give you? Or which one of these do you need the most, right? The whole thing is a conversation. Then we've got a worksheet. And I'll show you some examples of worksheets, but I literally just pull worksheets out of the course. I tried to teach worksheets which were both useful and persuasive. And that's that. So we're going to run them through a worksheet activity. And frankly, we don't have time for them to do the stuff. We have time for you to teach the stuff. Right at the start of the webinar, when after I've done the opening piece and we go insights and actions, I said, so really we're going to do 3 things today. I'm going to help you get it. I'm going to teach you the stuff. If we're in a workshop together, like one of our one-day intensives, which by the way is one of the bonuses they'll get when they buy. If we're in one of the one-day intensives, we'd spend some time getting it, and then we'd actually have time to roll up our sleeves and get it done. We didn't have time for that today. So instead of rolling up our sleeves and getting it done, I'm just going to show you how actual real clients do it. And I think if you learn the theory with me on the webinar and you see how it's really done in the real world from actual clients, it's going to be the perfect example. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so I've got permission upfront to teach it, to skip the how-to, and to show case study stories. Yeah. So what are our worksheets here? We do a 5 ones, which is just about bringing simple back. We do a Black Belt business model piece, which is some free stuff, and then either an online course or a 12-month program with maybe some one-on-one clients at the top. Yeah. So I just draw those out, and actually let me give you 2 examples, and I just go straight into the next box. So we're going to do, I'll show you a worksheet, and then we're going to jump into case study as our transition point. So decide model, then we do red, green, then I skip that worksheet, I do this one. By the way, when I first designed it, I put way too many worksheets in, we always do. And it's actually nice to have some stuff that you don't use because that's another loop I found, okay? So then we just going to fill in this worksheet and I teach them, and then we go, great, here's how most people do their funnel. I think it's stupid, and here's why. Do this instead, something free, and then we build an online course or a 12-month coaching program. You can have a few one-on-one clients at the top if you want to. What do you think comes next for you, an online course or a 12-month coaching program? And they'll say which one they want to do. Perfect. Let me give you some examples. And so then I talk about Todd and how when I started working with him, he'd done a bunch of really high-end one-on-one work with athletes, business people, corporates with training and a royal family. And he and I had to decide together, firstly, which market, which niche to go after. And secondly, product type. And so we went with online course, and obviously we tell Todd's story. And I talk about Lars, who's a client who we did the opposite. We went to 12-month programs, blah, blah, blah. So it just lets me tell the story. Okay? If you're selling a triage call or a sales appointment, so I met Todd and he had this problem. By the way, we've got a webinar coming up called the Strategy Session Seed, which will show you how to do this really well. When I met Todd, he's this incredible guy who had this big vision. Blah, blah, blah. This was the challenges he had. And so we met on a scale session. First session I do with every new client, just designed to help them get really clear about what to do in the next 90 days so that working with me pays for itself really, really quickly and they get great traction. And on that call, we figured out blah, 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 blah. And so I've just gone, Todd, had this goal, had this problem, almost didn't want to join me because whatever. Came on a call called the name of session. Here's what we did. Da, 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 da. So if I do that 3 times, once here and once for the next module, you'll see that I've seeded the appointment pretty well. But we'll go into that in our webinar in a week or two's time for the strategy session seed. So we talked to case studies, and actually built a handout for the case studies. And so it's just like, who's the person? It's Lars. He works with real estate people. What was the impact of the, what was the problem and the impact? This was the problem, and here's how it was hurting his business, and here's how it was hurting him personally. Then over here, I'll draw whatever we did, and here was the happy ending for his business. And I don't know why that's business, but just pretend it is, and for him personally. Yeah. And then I take them back to this insights and actions page, and I get them great. So we've talked about deciding a model. What are the 3 changes you need to make model-wise right now? And they just type in, I need to do this and that and the other thing. And then just before we move on, I'll bring them back here. And I say, so remember, we're doing the $1 million plan. I'm showing you the quickest way. We've talked about deciding a model, but remember, the moment you decide, hey, I'm going to do a 12-month course or a 6-week program, the very next step is to unpack your IP, to create the content. And so if you've got a model, that's fantastic. Just know that the next step is going to be to build out the course, and you need frameworks for that. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard. Right? So I'm just going to go whole, we've gone into parts, and then back out to whole. Okay? So let's pause and check in. Most valuable idea so far. Let's just capture some thoughts. Every now and again, I'm just going to pause just so we process, and I don't just like fire hose you with awesome. Okay, so most helpful so far. Coop says, I'm a bit confused. Do you do 3 red-green models for deliver? 1 model for each? Yeah, I just do, because I'm only teaching, Coop, because I'm only teaching this bit and that bit and that bit, I have 3 models that I'm sharing over the webinar. So for decide model, we had that one, which is all red and a little bit of green. Yeah. For funnel, I drew this one, and for webinar, I did this one. Does that help, Coop? Seeding. Yeah, content blocks. Give them too many worksheets and create an open loop. Yeah. Seeding the idea of the call with each case study, 100%. My brain is exploding. It's that good. Fantastic. Love that so much. The last, bring them back to tie into the other steps that they need. Yeah. And so probably what I should have done in our handout here is you might want to do this, insights and actions, and then in here, you might want to put back to the whole, the 3 things they need around the outside. Yeah, we've covered this one a little bit, but you need the other 2. Yeah? Ninja, number of times I'm going to have to watch this video keeps increasing. Dude, by the way, this is really fun for me. I enjoy the nuance to this. And so if you're watching this going, holy crap, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to do this. Don't worry, dude. You can do like a third of it and still be absolutely killer, right? Absolutely killer. I'm just showing you layers. I'm going to keep getting better at this for the rest of my life. Like I'm obsessed. I think like one of my superpowers is the ability to make content feel to make marketing feel like content and blur the two. And this, I geek out about that intersection more than anything else in the world. How do we teach and sell, right? And so this is just, I'm dropping layers that I don't normally share. There's nowhere I'd share this publicly for sure. So look at it as inspiration, but don't go, holy crap, I can't pull that off, okay? Nearly at capacity, model first or webinar. Nick, I don't understand the question. Coop says, love to see you geek out in your genius. Perfect example of what it looks like for all of us. Dude, I love this stuff. This is fun for me. All right, you good so far? So let's just zoom back out and get some context again. Remember, the webinar is a genius model up front, up here, followed by 3 pieces of content. Remember, what we're doing is we're teaching people what to want 3 times. So you go, what's my pillar? Yeah, for me, it goes attract, convert, deliver. And I'm going to pick one for each. Which one? The hottest one. Right? The hottest one. And so I could do how to sell one-on-one. I could, but webinars are way sexier, right? So pick the hottest ones, do them in an order that makes sense. And then for each one, what are we going to do? We're going to go big, small, big. Thank you, Pete. Here's everything you need, maybe with a case study for each, like a little story. We're going to do either a Y stack or a red-green model. We're going to teach them 3 things. Run through a worksheet, but don't have them do the worksheet, just kind of use it as a teaching tool. Share a case study. If you're seeding a call, that's where you do it. Have them do the insights and actions, but don't go, what did you learn? What do you already know you need to change? And then here is big, small, back to big. Yeah? So if we look at big, small, big, this is big here, this is small here, and this is back to big. Do you get that? Like we've got, hey, you need this whole pizza. Oh, look at this pizza slice. It's so awesome. Remember, there's the rest of the pizza. That's what we're doing. Okay? Okay, sounds like you're picking up what I'm putting down. So then the last piece is the invitation. All of the hard work's already been done. The invitation is just where we invite them to do whatever comes next. So for us, we're inviting them to join a course. For you, it could be sell your program. It could be buy a product. It could be buy a ticket to an event. It could be booking for a call with you. Yeah? And so the framework we use for every offer ever is the 6 magic pills, right? You've probably seen me draw it like this, where we show them why they need it, what they need to know, or what we work on, and then how it works. That's really what we're doing. So just to give you a little bit of context, why in red, what in yellow, how in green. These bits here are your why. These 2 pills here, pills 3 and 4, are your what piece, and your how is logistics and price, comes at the end. Okay, and so this is just the simplest way I know to make my offer. I don't think I'm great at doing the offer at all. Like I don't like stack the stuff, tell them the bonus, restack the stuff again, add another bonus, restack the stuff again, price drop, restack everything. I don't do that. I probably should. But all I do is I'm going to go back to the problem. And the way I do that is by looping back to our genius model. Actually, I do it like this. Let's just go to the actual close slide. It's probably going to be easier. I've got a few slides of clients that I could use as case studies that I just kind of dropped in there that I don't actually use. So at the end, I go, so we've been talking about the $1 million plan, how to break $1 million a year in your coaching business in the next 12 months. And you already know the how. The how is, this genius model. And we've got to look at your colors right now, your red, your yellow, and your green, around the outsides. And so we know what's working and what needs work. There's 2 questions I ask every client at the start of us working together that I want to ask you right now. And this is, frankly, for me, this is kind of vision stuff. And I just go, so first question I've got is, if you think about the next 12 months for you, what would a really good 12 months look like for you result-wise? Like this is called $1 million plan, and maybe $1 million is your goal. Maybe 250 grand would be amazing for you, right? What would a really good 12 months look like for you? Can you just take 30 seconds right now and just type it in the box what you'd love to achieve, like 2 or 3 things you'd love to achieve the next year, and they just type it in. Cool. And I read them out. By the way, I found it really good for energy, for me and energy for the audience, to have a sidekick sit on the webinars with me. So Sherry Rose often sits on my live webinars. She's all over webinars and technology. She's very calm and she reads out people's comments. It's nice to have like a different voice. Great. And out of the 9 projects we just talked about, which of the 3 projects would you like to get done in the next 90 days? In other words, which of the 3 that are big for you? We've gone deep into 3, but you know there's 9. Which are they? Da, 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 da. Most people will tell you the ones that I've taught, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. And so we've talked about heaps of case studies today. The only case study we haven't talked about is yours, right? And so the segue for this, because the program's called a case study program, that's really the segue into the offer. But what I'm doing is, you've got these problems, which are all of your reds. The prescriptions, what you need are you need to turn your reds and yellows into greens around the outside of your Genius model. Yeah, these are the pieces. And which ones are the ones that you want? And so I get them to tell me the outcome in 12 months and the outcome for the next 90 days. Normally I'd say I built this program, it's designed to do this. For this program, I totally don't. They've just told me in 12 months I'd like to be here. In 90 days, I'd like to do these 3 things. And so all I need to do right now is go, great, those things are in this. And so there's no outcome for the implementation program. It's just, I'm going to teach you how to do the things you've just told me you wanted to do. You with me? There probably should be an outcome, but there's not. Okay, so we're starting a brand new implementation program case study group this month. And we've just wrapped up a group. I've been working really closely with the last 10 weeks with a small group of people. The results have been amazing. We want to do one more case study group over the next couple of months before we do our big launch, official launch of the program. And here's what we cover. And I basically just walk through, attract, convert, and deliver, and each of the pieces, just like we talked about. And I just kind of, for each one, I just go, frankly, this is a bit of a waste. I probably should just draw the Genius model, the Genius model, and just go, this is what we do, and just talk through them visually, blah, blah, blah. And so I just say that we've got a new case study program starting this month. Here's how it works. Every week, and so now I'm into, like, the model is the Genius model, and now we're into logistics. Here's how it works. Every week we will focus on one of the scale projects, one of the 9 accelerators. Yeah, so week 1, we're going to unpack your model, figure out your model, and blah, blah, blah. And then week 2 we didn't. So every week we'll focus on one of the things. All 9 are amazing, but there's probably 2 or 3 that you pick that will be the ones which will stand out most for you. So we'll be able to spend more time working on those one-on-one. By the way, if you read my case study email, pretty much I just read out the case study email, right? You get access to these pieces each week. It's not like a live class that you have to show up on at the time when I'm around, because we're traveling around the world, and that might be 2 a.m. for you. So every week I'll give you access to the next video for you to watch, and all of the templates or tools that fit behind it. Twice a month. So each week I'll give you the next piece, and then twice a month we'll jump on a live call, you, me, and the other people going through the program together, and we'll brainstorm your business. We're going to use you as the case study for how to apply this stuff, and so we'll be able to brainstorm specific wording or strategy or tactics, help you with your models and your da-da-da-da. And so twice a month we'll jump on a call like this. Yeah? I think this is in the right order. I could be wrong. I've just seen I think this is, let's just say this. So there's, we've just met. We've spent like an hour or an hour and a half together, and so far, I like the cut of your jib. You might like the cut of mine. Just want to let you know that there's no risk at all to this program. You jump it, you either love it or you leave it. If you don't love it, I'll buy it back from you at full price. Plus, I'll throw in an extra $10 so you can buy a plate of tacos on me. That way you can say, like, the one deal you ever did with Taki, at least you walked away with ROI, right? We walk through the logistics. There's a Facebook group you'll have access to for the year. Payments are really easy. You can do $1,500 or 3 payments of $500. Here's where you go to get started. I'm ready to work with you. All you need to do is, actually, I'll go, I'm ready to work with you. All I need you to do right now is type in, I'm in. And I'll get you the details. So people just type in, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in, I'm in. It's like a soft commitment. then I go, great. So for everyone who said I'm in, here's how you get started right now. Here's where you can go to set up your username and password. And that's the buy now link. A couple of bonuses, tickets to the event, the live calls. Instead of doing the live calls for the 10 weeks, you can have them for the whole year. Did it cost me 0? And the first 5 people get a session with El Taco. Go here, buy that. And then we're into Q&A mode, okay? So let's just pause and time out. Everybody breathe in and out. We've covered heaps of ground today, right? From red-green models to the logistics of the program and how to walk through the offer, the framework or architecture for this webinar that sells. And what I'd like you to do right now is to just type in one big aha, the one thing that, if you just, even if you did nothing else, if you just took that bit and it made a big difference to you, it would make a tremendous impact. What's one thing that you could take from what we talked about today to really up your webinar? What's like one, oh, that was a gold nugget for me. Can you type that in right now? My brain is full, I need a taco. Great work, super helpful. 6 boxes in each content block. This piece right here. Yeah. Genius model that starts, says Pete. Love that. I'm going to add red-green models to my stuff, says Harry. 6 magic pills, says Corby. Implement the Genius models throughout marketing, selling, and training. Yeah, it's the thing, right? It's the stuff. Moving back to Genius model instead of stacking bonuses. Leveraging off my model. Yep. Leading with Genius and only giving 1 slice of pizza. Yep. How to put the Genius model into my sales process. Love that. Whole thing's got me thinking like the reverse guarantee. You can do a guarantee or not. It doesn't really matter. For me, it's just asking for I'm in as a soft close. Big, small, big within each content block. Yep. How to integrate Genius model. Yep. 6 magic pills. Found about 80% took the 500 times 3. At first it scared me, but tons still paid. Yeah. We have almost nobody not pay. It's just kind of really fair. Positions confidence in your offer. Yeah. Case study, we haven't talked about yours. Yeah. So we've talked about lots of case studies. The only thing we haven't talked about is yours. And so I'm framing that up is when I do this webinar in a few weeks' time, I'd love to be able to use your picture on a slide. Okay, so we've talked about your number 1 takeaway. What I'd love you to do right now is when it comes to your next sales webinar, I want you to write down what are the 3 next actions you could take to pimp your first webinar or your next webinar. What are the next 3 steps for you? Okay, something tiny, something you could do in like less than 5 minutes without even trying. That's going to be action number 1. Then action 2 and 3. I'll give you a minute right now. Dennis, just saw your question. Do you talk price on the 12-month program before the triage, or does that come up in the strat session? I use that just in the strat session. Rachel, I know you're on the line right now. You just did yours. Did you talk about the price of the program on the webinar or just book people in for a call? Love to know. Can you use the same model for a content webinar? You could, but I think you're probably overloading people. I mean, we've just done it here and it's been useful, but there's lots, right? Mick, if I'm selling the triage as the next step, do you suggest I unpack the full course as it relates to the Genius model and the triage is a fit conversation, or just simply talk about the next step triage? Yeah, you don't, like the offer's going to be heaps easier. So here's the problem you've got. You've got reds all around the outside. The fix is we need to fix those. And so I've got this call. It's called the scale session, right? It's a 1-hour call, and on that call we get clear on what's possible, what's holding you back, how to fix it. The logistics is it's super straightforward. It's basically, here's what I got this call, here's what I'll do for you, here's the logistics. Click the button there, book yourself in. On the next page there's a questionnaire to fill in, which will just give me a little bit of homework on you. And then we jump on the call and we smash it out together. Genius model worksheets, the I'm in, then close, then send link. Yep, red, green. 6 boxes in each content block was giving away too much and their heads were full by the end. So their heads are still full here, but they're full in containers. And I think the value of doing what we did here, like big picture overview and then diving deep and then back out again, is it gives people context. So even when they get a little bit, ooh, you can just zoom out and go, so remember what we're really talking about is your red thing here, we need to go green. Okay, good, got it. I'm literally tweaking stuff as you present. Hopefully models, not nipples, shame. Yeah, perfect. Just booked the call. Yeah, didn't tell them the price until the end of the strat session. That's exactly what we do. Do you have any one-on-ones as part of your offer? So far, 100% closed. I saw your thing today, Rachel, about getting all of these applications and it's chewing up your time. 2 things for you. Number 1, if you have an assistant, get her to do the triage calls to set people up, and then you can do the big girl talk. Or number 2, make the calls longer and just do the thing, you know, skip it. Yeah, this structure can totally be used for a live event, 1000%. In fact, what's really funny is the slides that I put into this 1.5 hour sales webinar are almost the identical slides as my one-day event. Yeah, Shane is tweaking both slides and nipples. He's like this right now. It's creepy. All right, guys, it's been really fun. Hey, just so you know, in 40 minutes time, I'm going to be running what I think, frankly, is going to be the most important webinar of the next 90 days for you. So if you can join me, I would cancel a hot date with whoever the object of your affection could be to jump on this webinar. We're going to do this webinar called Activate, which is where we take the projects that we mapped out at the intensive a couple of weeks ago and we build it into a Scrum board and an action plan that totally rocks. Okay, so I'd love to see you there. If you can, come. You could watch the recording, but frankly, doing it live with us, Corby and I, is just going to be a million times better. Okay? Guys, it's been really fun today. Thanks for hanging out. Loved sharing a little bit of this magic with you. Take good care, and I will talk to you soon.